Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I wanted to talk about how you can survive Hyperemesis Gravidarum in your first trimester. Guys, it is rough and my heart truly goes out to you if you are experiencing this or if you have experienced this disorder. But if you don't know what HG is, Hyperemesis Gravidarum, it's a severe form of morning sickness. I wouldn't even say it's comparable. It's debilitating, it's dangerous for both mum and baby, and it can cause a lot of distress and trauma in households. But I will put the proper definition on the screen here so you guys can have a read up, and I will have some resources linked down below in case you are experiencing HG or if you are in the knowing of someone who has it and you need to go and support them. But I wanted to give you guys some tips on what worked for me, and everybody's different and they may not work for you, but if this can give you something to try, if you are experiencing this, then hopefully it will give you guys some hope, because along with the physical aspects of HG, there's also the mental aspects, which is just as hard mentally. Like, I was bedridden for 3.5 months, and like the mental repercussions that came along with that it's quite traumatic. So I have a little list here and I'm going to share with you guys what I wrote down. I just want to touch base on it's important to make sure you have folate during early pregnancy for prevention of spinal bifida, and you normally get that through a multivitamin. However, with HG, it's not like you can just do your normal daily routine. So I definitely suggest, if you're like planning to get pregnant, to start a prenatal straight away during your TTC window, just in case you do have HG. Then you won't have to feel like guilty for not taking your prenatals. Like, I was on prenatals a few months prior to falling pregnant, but I stopped them as soon as my HG kicked in at 5.5 weeks. So I think it's finding that balance. Like, if you can keep your prenatals down, that's amazing, but if it's making you so sick, then like you really have to weigh your pros and cons, and try out different prenatals. Like, some, I don't know, for me most prenatals make me sick anyway, but even if you can try like gummy prenatals or just different types, give it a few different goes, but don't feel super guilty if you can't have them right away. I was prescribed B6, and B6 is meant to help with morning sickness. Now, alone B6 did not do anything. However, paired with Restovit, which is meant to be a sleep drug, the combination definitely helped subside my nausea. This was the drug combination that I started taking at 10 or 11 weeks, because again, I couldn't swallow tablets in that 5 to like 9-10 week window span. It would just like make me vomit. But yes, this, if you can stomach tablets, this was a really good combination for me. However, like I mentioned before, I was on Ondansetron as well, and if you're American, it's also known as Zofran, but that is so that works on your serotonin. It's like a serotonin blocker, and it stops you from having the urge to vomit. In my experience, I was still nauseous and constipated, so I would try not to take it too much. I've heard a lot of women, and when I was in hospital, they gave me Maxilon, which is a great type A, category A drug, so it's meant to be like very safe for pregnancy in the drug world. That did not do much for me. So I, stayed on ondansetron. I'm also in the AHG support group, which I highly recommend because it makes you feel less alone and isolated. But there are some women on that group who have the worst HG ever. Like, my heart truly goes out to them. But they are on Zofran or ondansetron pumps, which is like a little pump thing that is like injected into your stomach, constantly releasing like small amounts of ondansetron, so you just like have it steady in your system. There's also some women who end up going on steroids to help with their nausea and vomiting because it's so severe. So as you can imagine, like, this is something that shouldn't be taken lightly. It's very dangerous and can harm both mother and baby if it's not treated properly. But thankfully, like, mine was only moderate, so I am super grateful for that. But again, not taking from anyone else's experience or my experience, like, it was still bad, and I feel like you can only compare it with your own personal experiences. So those were the medications that helped me survive, literally survive, this first trimester. Now, I wanted to talk about some of the fluids that I tried to take as well, because again, whenever water would touch my lips, I would, like, it's like my body would completely reject it, but it's all I craved, which I kind of talk more about in my, I think it was my 9-week pregnancy update. But one thing that really helped was, when it was really bad, lemon squash was the only thing I could somewhat sip and get down, like tiny sips. And then I tried ice cold, it had to be fridge iced cold water with a generous squeeze of lemon. That's what I could then stomach after the lemon squash, when I was getting that little bit better. But again, I've heard women who drink Coca-Cola their whole pregnancy because it's the only fluid they can get down. I think the biggest thing is trial and error. I also had hydrolytes on hand, and this was very hit or miss for me. I would chew the ice blocks and hope that my body would absorb the fluids in the ice blocks, but I would 9 times out of 10 end up vomiting them up. But again, I think consistency is really important, which is so hard to do because you feel so sick and you just have no energy. Some of the foods that I used to get me by was licking oranges and tomatoes and lemons. A lot of citrus fruit was, and I couldn't even eat it, I had to lick it, was what somewhat got me through. Occasionally Vegemite toast would be okay. That worked really well for Theodore's pregnancy, but not as well for this pregnancy. I had to be feeling really good to stomach that. I had to time taking my medication with my eating, so there was like a 15-minute window where I wouldn't vomit it up, and it was like a few minutes after taking the medication. I actually found that dry crackers made me more sick. A lot of fresh produce like greens made me so sick, and I definitely couldn't eat any meats. So some of the things that I would recommend having on hand if you do have HG is vomit bags. Have them everywhere. Have them next to your bed, have them in your car, have them in the bathroom. I would be so sick on the toilet vomiting, and it would just be so bad. Every time I'd get in the car, I would vomit. So if you can get those hospital grade bags, they're wonderful. They like contain everything. But if not, doggy bags are fine. Like even normal plastic bags. Honestly, it got to the point where I was just using like Coles bags, and yeah, it was definitely interesting. Certain smells, definitely limiting certain smells in your home. So for me, oh my god, even now to this point, I cannot, the smell of raw onion makes me so sick. Like, to me, it would waft in our house for days, even after the bins have been taken out. So I had to ban onion. It was so bad. Normally I would recommend essential oils like peppermint, but I couldn't even stomach that this time. The smell of peppermint would make me so sick. However, peppermint oil is meant to be an anti-nausea, so you could try it and it may work for you, but it definitely didn't work for me. I just had to have like no smells in the house as much as possible, like minimizing anything, minimizing like the smell of cleaning products, minimizing dirty clothes smell, like trying to stay on top of washing. Even if it was washed and dried, we had big piles of washing piling up, but as long as it was clean, because it would like minimize the smell. My only request to Luca was, please, like, I don't care about any other mess in the house, but just clean the toilet, because my head is going to be in it 24/7. I tried alternative medicines, so I went to acupuncture, and as hard as it was to get there, it did definitely help for a little bit in combination with my medication. So I went 2 or 3 times, and it just helped rebalance my body. But again, everybody's different, and it may or may not work for you. It's just something that somewhat worked for me. Now, it's so important to have a good support network. I cannot stress this enough. I do not know what I would do without Luca and my mom, and even Theodore, and even like our extended family. They definitely picked me up when I was in the roughest places. And for people who were like at our house firsthand, like my mom and Luca, they actually experienced how bad it was with me. Sorry guys, this actually makes me really emotional, because it's still so fresh and really, really hard. They helped with, like, you know, maintaining the house and looking after Theodore, but the emotional side is also very important, because it can be a really dark place when you go from fully functioning and looking after a household to not being able to even look after yourself. And if you have other children, you can experience a lot of mum guilt, you can experience partner guilt, and you know, it's quite hard, because you can't really get up and go to a counselor for support, because you're stuck in bed. So you're kind of like trapped in your own body, and you have to constantly be with yourself. I guess the biggest tip I have for that is know that it's not a forever thing, and take it minute by minute if you have to, hour by hour, day by day. Don't get too ahead of yourself, because it becomes overwhelming. I read a lot of stories on the HG group, the support group, of women not having support, and they end up terminating because it's so bad. And that truly breaks my heart, because it's something that is so hard and so, I guess, underspoken, that so many women have to suffer through this, and their babies suffer through this. And again, like, at the end of the day, if that's something that you choose to do, then it's your body and your choice 100%. And I think that you shouldn't feel guilty about choosing what's best for you and your family. But I would recommend counseling because it would have a physical and a mental toll if you do decide to go down that route. So some other things that helped me get through the darkest days were listening to really positive podcasts and other people's experiences. But that could be a trigger for you. I know some noise and light can be triggers for some women. For me, thankfully, that wasn't the case. So I was able to surround myself with as much positivity as possible. One of my favorite podcasts was the Awakened Pregnancy podcast, and it just talks about a lot of positive pregnancy, first trimester and subsequent pregnancy related topics. Now, I just want to mention it is very important to go to the hospital and get fluids if you are suspecting dehydration, if you're showing any signs. So some of the signs is infrequent urination, brown cloudy urination, little bits of urination. Another sign is dizziness and headaches. And you can even check your skin, so you can like press on it for 3 seconds, and if it bounces back, you're hydrated. But if it stays like pressed in and like pale, then that's a sign of dehydration. And yes, just really look after yourself and get fluids. It's so important for you and baby. It can be very dangerous if you don't. And I am going to link some resources in the comments down in the description down below. It's called the Her Foundation, and it empowers those managing HG with information and support to minimize the suffering. It's a really great organization, and can give your support network and yourself a lot of information. And you can even print off sheets and take it to your doctor if you're having troubles with your doctor, like just shrugging you off, because I feel like a lot of, well, I've read a lot of experiences where women aren't taken seriously. But again, this is a very critical condition that can harm both you and baby if it's not treated properly. So I highly recommend having a look into that. And my last thing is, don't give up. You are so strong. Mentality is half the battle, and this is just a phase that we will all get through. There's lots of women experiencing this, and that you're not alone if you are going through this. And to address your traumas when you are feeling better, because it can definitely be something that can be bottled up or can contribute to a harder postpartum recovery. It can take tolls on your relationships, and I recommend getting counseling done once you're feeling better, and just nourishing your body, working with a dietitian once you are able to eat and drink, so you can replenish your body after having malnutrition and dehydration for an extended period of time. I hope this video helps you if you are experiencing or suffering from HG, or if you know somebody who is suffering from HG. I hope this gives you the tools and education, and I hope you can find this relatable. I love you guys, and I am praying that everything is smooth for you guys. If you want to follow my journey, click that subscribe button, and I have lots of updates on how I am going with everything, and yeah, lots of motherhood, cleaning related things. And one last thing know that it's okay to put your life on hold and trust your intuition, because you've got this. I'm gonna love you and leave you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.